All right, this is another excellent opportunity for learning, for growth. We're so excited to have a special guest with us here on the Equipment Zone webinar series. Terry Combs, as you can see, is my co-pilot, and there's a strange man with a skeleton in the other corner. That's Brian Walker. Oh my gosh, Terry, we're doing this. It's a webinar.
It's been a little while.
It has been. It's been a little while. It's time to get back at it. We've had a lot going on, but we're excited to be doing some more webinars, and truly excited today because it's a big topic. We have a lot of people tuned in, and we have a very, very special guest who has a whole new product we can't wait to talk more about. I'm going to let you, Terry, since you've known Brian the longest, I'm going to let you give any other intro you want, or welcome our special guest, or whatever you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see where it goes.
Brian Walker is an old friend of mine in the industry. He is the owner and president, CEO. You can tell us what your title is of Image
Banana.
Armor.
See the top banana?
Head poobah.
Nice.
And I've actually been to Brian's location there in Ohio and actually did a seminar with him there, and myself and Wade Rowan. So Brian, why don't you say hello to our audience?
Hi.
Oh, well done.
Just following orders. Not, but I appreciate you guys having us on, and it'll be good to see you guys again at the Printing United that's coming up here a week and a half.
Yeah, it is around the corner. So
yeah, trade show season's starting to gear back up. Hopefully we don't roll into more of that thing. So the thing that is unnamed. But yeah, I mean, that'll be our first real trade show since the whole 2020 thing, which we were just talking about prior to this, was Printing United. It's been 3 years.
Right. Even though they've had a few of them scheduled, with COVID or whatever version of COVID, they've canceled each one, but gung-ho, and we're excited. We think it's going to be a really great show, and it's, as you said, coming up in about a week and a half.
Yeah.
So if anybody's, I was going to say, if anybody's out there, I know Equipment Zone will be there. We'll be there. Stop by. It's Vegas, baby. Come on.
Yeah, it's fun. Stop by. We're going to have a great booth. We're excited too. We've got a big crew coming, lots of equipment. Clearly, we'll be showcasing some platinum pre-treatment, among other great things. So listen, let's dive right in. Brian, again, thank you for joining us. We know time is limited. We're also very appreciative of those that are tuned in live. We're going to save something special at the end for all of you who've tuned in live. I'm going to drop a link in the chat so that you can go get something special from Brian. And it's his way of saying thank you, and it's our way of saying thank you. But only those that are tuned in are going to see that chat. So if you're watching this later, we still love you. We still appreciate that you're watching this. You're still going to learn a lot, but you might miss out on that secret special link. So other than that, let's cue this up. Brian, I'm excited because this is a chance for us to get to know each other too. We bounced around trade shows and seen each other over the years, but I'd love to get to know kind of the backstory, the PG version and the appropriate webinar version of the backstory of Brian Walker. How did you get this thing started? How did Image Armor start is, I guess, my real question.
Oh man, in a land far, far away.
And by the way, we are on the clock, Brian. So
yes, okay. 1985, while I was still in high school, I got into the graphic arts program. And during that time, I sort of got my beak wet, I guess you could say, in the apparel decorating industry. And while I was still in high school, started a screen printing business where we made transfers. And we were sort of talking about this before the recording started, about how when you look back at what you did and how you did things, it's amazing the progress that you make in that transitional period from when you start to wherever you're at in your business journey. And to be honest with you, I started making transfers originally, and they were horrible. But there was a local, I mean, they were. I look back now and I go, oh my gosh, how did we even, but there was a local athletic shop that we made numbers and names and all that stuff for. And then that progressed into doing actual screen printing on shirts. And then right around the year 2000, we saw the first 99, 2000. I remember it was up at the Chicago Trade Show. We saw the first presentation of a DTG printer. And then shortly after that, that's when I met you, Terry,
Right.
back in the T-Jet days. And that just goes to show you. So from 85 to that point, that's sort of when I started to get into the direct-to-garment side. Then in 2013, well, 2007, we started iGroup. 2013 is when we officially launched, it was actually Halloween that we launched Image Armor. And
how appropriate is that? Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
An anniversary of sorts.
9 years ago, which is scary. And so from there, we just kept evolving and doing stuff, and ended up in 2016 starting RTP. And here we are today, just trying to keep pushing the boundaries of direct-to-garment and making it easier for people getting into direct-to-garment or that are already in direct-to-garment to be successful, because that's the whole key, is being efficient, profitable, and being able to do things that other people can't. So that's, and that's, you know, I met Terry, my gosh, probably what, 2003?
Probably so. That sounds, yeah, that'd be about right. That's about when the T-Jet came about. And at the time I was at US Screen Printing Institute in Tempe, Arizona. That's what actually brought me to Arizona. And that was, I came here about 20 years ago. So yeah, it's, we go way back.
I was doing price quoting software at that point in time. Right. And developing it for screen printing and embroidery, and then direct-to-garment, and everything just sort of wove together from way back, from T-Quoter and all that stuff. And it's funny how it's sort of like Alice in Wonderland or The Matrix. You just go down those rabbit holes and you never come out. That's why the joke is, anybody getting into this industry, it's like Hotel California. You will never, ever leave.
And that's absolutely true. I mean, you know, I'm always saying, armed with my degree in journalism from Ohio University, I accidentally became a screen printer. But and you know, Brian, I think the reason people don't leave, though, is you have the same issues you have with any other business, you know, employees and getting product and you know, getting orders right. And but it's creative, you know, and there's always that moment you say, oh, that's really cool, you know, and there's not a lot of, exactly. There's not a lot of jobs you can have out there where you can have that feeling. But, you know, Brian, so you touched on this already, but I think a lot of our listeners don't know the connection, RTP Apparel, Image Armor, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken or the egg question. Well, it was I'm not going to answer chicken or egg. It was Image Armor in 2013. And it was one of those things that as we progressed, I joke about it, but pre-treating, and anybody that's done it, and I'm sure you guys will agree, it is the least fun part of direct-to-garment printing. Printing fun, pre-treating not so fun. So what we ended up doing is we continued developing pre-treats and stuff like that, is thinking about, and I can still remember, it was like 2014, 2015, whiteboard in my basement. I was working out of a real small 3,200 square foot building, and idea board was pre-treated shirts. Now, the funny thing is I would say we're the world leaders in it right now, but I wasn't the original one to do it, and I have to give credit to Chuck Northcutt. At the time, he was with Anajet, and he was trying to do pre-treated shirts. And things, because it's so capital intensive, and at that point in time, technology and a variety of other things, it just didn't really work out. But the funny thing is he's actually working with us now. I just hired him. And so we get to sort of fulfill that dream together now, and have a lot of respect for him from that, because he's been in the industry forever also. But yeah, so the pre-treatment came first, and I thought, my God, nobody likes literally nobody. I can't name a single person that actually enjoys pre-treating. And
yeah, it's like that. It's like in screen printing as comparison, it's cleaning screens.
Yeah, right.
The first employee you ever hire is to somebody to clean screens.
Exactly. Low man on the totem pole. Low man on the totem pole.
But you know, and that's why so many people, I believe, also use automatic pre-treat machines as well. It makes that that job easier, and it makes it more consistent. So
yes, and that's I push that all the time. Can you pre-treat by using like a Wagner sprayer? Yes. Should you? No. But again, sometimes you have to start with where you're at. Maybe it's a money constraint or whatever, but using some type of an automatic, like, you know, the speed treater, it allows for more consistent, repeatable results. And that is the whole key, is removing all of the variables that you can when you're pre-treating, because it's actually one of the most important steps in the direct-to-garment process, outside of having good artwork. And if you don't know how to create good artwork, find somebody. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out. But if you don't have a good base for the inks to sit on and create that beautiful magic on a printed shirt, it's going to be very frustrating. And that's why a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people get frustrated, is they don't understand the importance of pre-treating. And that's the struggle we've been trying to promote and educate since 2013, is this is the most important process in the direct-to-garment printing. Printing's easy. Keep the machine clean and functional. If you have a good pre-treated shirt, you can print anything. It'll look great. If you do it correctly, printing correctly, I should say, and have good artwork. Yeah. Brian, outside of that, you know, but that's why we created the RTP line, was to take out all those other variables associated with pre-treating.
Gotcha.
And make it so you can just go right to the printer and have fun more than not, basically, because of the pre-treat process.
Love that. You touched on so many things there, and you emphasized what we also agree with, is the importance of having a system that's something that's duplicatable. You can replicate that system. It's consistent, and it is, like you said, it's paramount. It's really, really important. So that's why we're so excited to have you. Thank you for emphasizing the same point we do all the time. In fact, I'm going to reference back to about 7 months ago, I think, give or take a day or two or a week or two. Time, does time even matter anymore? It's so weird. 7 months ago, we did Roy and I did a deep dive on pre-treatment and tested a whole bunch. This was before Platinum. And we were just doing all of the pre-treat tests. You hear so much on the internet. You hear all these stories, and it doesn't do this, and then this one does that, and I like that one, but she loves that one. And so finally we were like, look, let's just do them all. Let's test the major ones. And I can't wait, because we are going to do an update, and we will definitely bring Platinum into the mix. Image Armor was definitely one of the highest scoring pre-treatments. You'll be proud and happy to know. But I want to get back to, you led me to this RTP. And speaking of ready to print, right? That's what it stands for, RTP Apparel, ready to print. You often mention this. I've read it on your website, and I've heard you talk about it. It's DTG engineered. Like, is that just marketing speak, or is there something to that? What can you share with our audience a little bit about that? Because while we are in a little separate lane, you know, DTG pre-treatment, they go together, and we are manufacturers of a speed treater. So our emphasis is, look, there are options out there. RTP is definitely one of them, and it provides, we think, a convenience. Quite honestly, it's a huge convenience. But tell us more about it. Tell us more about this DTG engineering.
Well, it's, a lot of people think, you know, it's like with pre-treating. You just throw pre-treat on the shirt and you're good to go. On the surface, that technically kind of is correct, but it's not entirely correct. There are so many factors involved with it. And I know that you guys have seen it and you can sort of vouch for this, and feel free to slap me down if I step off base here.
Terry, that's your
I've
job. Terry, you're
I've
in charge of that.
Okay.
I've forgotten so much because, you know, you do this stuff all the time and you assume that everybody knows about it and understands it. And they're DTG engineered when we first started. To be honest with you, our shirts were less than what they are today. But it was a stepping stone. It was like when you start your business, like we mentioned earlier, to when you look back from now back to then.
Right.
This is why I feel we are the world's leading shirt manufacturer for ready-to-print garments. Different dyes will affect the shirt, how the shirt is made, how it's constructed. We have some patent pending stuff related to polyester that it's just some really, really cool stuff. So we basically are working from the threads up to make a good, solid shirt that can be printed virtually on every direct-to-garment printer except for the Kornit, because that's a totally different ink chemistry. But it really is. There's so many variables that go into making a good quality shirt that is DTG printable across the board, that it's hard to even get into. Like I said, dyes, interaction of chemicals, the process, how things are done, where it's done. I mean, there's, okay, as you guys know, you can take some shirts and have the same exact shirt, but manufactured in 2 different countries.
Correct.
This shirt might require 15 grams of pre-treat. This one might require 30 grams of pre-treat to get the same white ink layer opacity, but it's the same shirt from the same manufacturer. You know, the water used, the dyes used, how they process it, how they handle it, post-processing, maybe they're leaving residual chemicals in it. So really the DT engineering is encompassing all of the entire shirt manufacturing process, the entire pre-treatment magic. And, you know, a lot of people think, oh, you just spray the shirts, you just dunk them or what. And it's like, no. You know, that's the funny part. It's like, oh, you know, you just throw it in a big washing machine. No. And there's a lot of reasons why we do what we do and why other people are trying to do stuff and they haven't been able to achieve the quality that we are able to give in the RTP shirts.
Sounds like you've really developed a deeper process. That's the magic, folks, right there. It's an overnight 13-year success story. And
exactly.
it's not as easy as we all think. Brian, I did have somebody in the chat ask, and I hope this doesn't put you on the spot, but I thought it was, I know you know the answer to this. So they're asking about expectations and delivery, and if there's any updates on back order.
Absolutely. Go to our website. I just this morning offloaded a container of shirts. We've actually had probably 3 containers in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Our inventory levels are spectacular. We just got in gold, royal blue, more French to the French Navy in, charcoal. We actually have a sale going on, and this is kind of a fun one. Black shirts, small through extra large are $477. Check the website. I'm pretty sure, but it doesn't matter the quantity. And when I did a comparison to the District Threads shirt, we were the same price, but ours was already pre-treated. So we have oodles of black shirts, and we're working on continuing to improve that flow. Thank God that COVID, the thing that we shall not speak of, is it's getting a lot better. I mean, there's still issues. It was crazy because our shipping container costs, people don't realize this. It's oh my gosh, you know, the cost of everything's, our shipping container costs, when we would get a full container, which is about 72,000 t-shirts, we used to pay about 3,000 to 5,000. It went up to 30,000 plus just for the container.
Right. Yeah. And that's that. You're right. That's the part that people don't realize about costs or price increases.
Yeah. And, because why don't you just have a set price? Cotton, it's funny if you watch the commodities market and cotton, especially during COVID, oh my gosh, it was crazy at the base level. Even organic cotton, I think like tripled or quadrupled in its actual price. It went up 3 to 4 times during COVID. And, so what you were paying at here, multiply that by 4. And that doesn't take into account import taxes, duties, and fees, because every time your raw materials go up, your base cost goes up, you have to pay taxes on that, on the imports and duties and stuff.
Aren't you excited about being a business owner, Brian? Doesn't it just, you wake up every morning? Listen, I am the guy that's going to keep us a little on track. Sorry, I led you down that road, but I know Terry's got the next question. But what I want to share is to lead to Terry, just so that folks can also hear a little bit of go back on the Wayback Machine about 7 months ago. And this was the test results from that top pre-treatment brands. You'll see Image Armor right there. But the purpose of having Brian on here also is to talk about what just released, what's new, the new development. And so here's a quick screen grab of some of that testing that we did, and you can see those results for yourself. We're pretty serious about this at Equipment Zone. We want to make sure that we are fair and accurate, and that we can say, hey, we've tested these 5, 4, 3, whatever solutions. We like them all, but a couple of them seem to give us better results on this particular garment, by the way. And so that way we're printing the same shirt, the same graphic on the same printer with the same pre-treat segments. And the only variable there is the actual solution. And so we did that 7 months ago, Brian. You probably didn't watch it. I don't expect you to, but
I saw
that's our commitment to figuring out how can we at Equipment Zone make sure that people know all of those solutions work in the speed treater. But now I want to turn it over to Mr. Combs because he's going to ask you about this. Look at that. Woo.
Well, Brian, Jay, and I were on the other side. We were in the audience watching you do a webinar here. What was it? Maybe a month or so ago?
I was gonna say 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it was all about your new pre-treat solution, Platinum. So what makes this special? Tell us about Platinum.
Platinum is basically the culmination since we started in 2013, 2012, 2013. And it's like everything else with business, as you continue to improve your DTG printing process. And, from when you made your first shirt to hopefully where you're at today, you can see that quality increase. And it's the same thing with our pre-treats. We do a lot of, like you guys did with that testing there. We do, if you saw this room where I'm at right now, my wife actually came in and cleaned it up. I've got shirts laying everywhere. It's unbelievable the amount of shirts that I waste just test printing and trying different things and trying to figure stuff out. So the Platinum is, I'll preface it like I did in our webinar. If you're looking for a magic bullet that does everything, this is not it. I don't know of any pre-treatment out there that is the magic bullet that will do polyester, it'll do this, that, it'll make everything perfect, and you'll have butterflies and rainbows and unicorns. That doesn't exist.
No leprechauns, Brian? No leprechauns?
I forgot the Lucky Charms.
There
Sorry. But
it's not the magic Platinum, button, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, the magic button, just push the button and whatever you're thinking will come out on a shirt. But Platinum actually really is, and I try to manage expectations, because a lot of people, seriously, and you guys know this, they want that magic polyester pre-treat that'll do white shirts and white cotton and, whatever. And tri-blends are always an incredible, difficult fabric to print on. So with Platinum, what we were able to do is we were able to increase the softness and hand to the feel of the pre-treat. We've actually been able, and we've seen that you can actually use less of our pre-treatment and get the same results. A lot of shirts, if you're using a good quality shirt, I can get away doing 10 to 12 grams on a good high quality shirt, like a district thread or maybe a Bella canvas or something like that. that you might typically need 15 to 20 grams on. It works really good. Now, laying down that little amount of pre-treatment sometimes can be an issue, but there's ways around that, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But even on tri-blends, like I've got a bunch of shirts off to the side here so I can pull some stuff, and hopefully we can see this. But this was a Portland Company tri-blend here, and this one has not been washed, and I don't know how it looks on screen, but there's no box, no pre-treat box or anything. And red is the hardest one to do. Now, I'm not going to say every shirt is going to come out like that, because depending on the dyes and everything that they use, people don't realize, and how they process the garment prior to you getting it to print and pre-treat plays a big into how the pre-treat will react on the shirt. And typically, if you take it's funny, take this red shirt, heat press it with nothing on it, no pre-treat, you'll see it discolor, and then that'll sit there for 15 minutes, maybe a couple hours. And I've actually seen some of these shirts, they don't go back. So that's without pre-treatment. So that's what you're dealing with. So there are no magic bullets, but we were able to do like light blues, lay down a very minimal amount of I can't show you the blue because this is technically a blue screen background. So my blue shirts look funky. But
you're gonna disappear behind it.
Yeah, actually, I've got it right here. I can show you. That's hello.
Yeah,
we see the background.
Yeah. So, but the interesting thing is because what a lot of people don't realize is there's a lot of tips and tricks that you can do to minimize issues like on those light blues, because typically light blue has been one of the hard colors to do. You would get a lot of yellowing or, heat staining, pre-treat, it'll discolor, blah, 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 all that. So one of the things that makes the platinum great is you can reduce the amount of pre-treatment applied, which will reduce that impact on the dyes and the shirt itself. So you don't necessarily see the pre-treat area or have any adverse reactions to it. Now, if you can't lay down that minimal amount of pre-treat, and what we've actually had a lot of customers do with platinum, if they have an issue with say like a tri-blend, where they can see a little bit of a discoloration, cut it 1-to-1 with water, or even 2-to-1. Now, if you cut it 1-to-1 and you need 10 grams of pre-treatment with full strength, and you cut it 1-to-1, you can actually lay down 20 grams of fluid and still achieve the 10-gram target. It's basically just because you're adding another,
water.
This one is water and this one is pre-treat. You got 2 gallons, which technically makes whatever you put down cut in half, right, as far as the volume.
So what you're saying is every time you get a new garment, you have to experiment a little bit. You have to do some testing. You have to do a little bit of your own homework to get that perfect print.
I hate to say that, and people hate it when I say that. That's why you're laughing. That's
why we're laughing.
There is, and again, I've shown, you can do like step tests on your pre-treat, just like you do in screen printing,
Sure,
and lay down varying amounts of pre-treat and see how much you need to apply for that particular shirt. Everybody wants the catch-all. Well, how much do I put down? And that can vary. And again, with the same shirt, it could be a difference of 5 or 10 grams because of the country it was manufactured in.
Sure.
And that's frustrating for us, and I know it's frustrating for the end users because everybody wants just to push the button. But typically I'll tell people start with 18 to 22 to 24 grams on a shirt, and from there you can test. That typically, for the most part, is going to give you a very good starting point. And yes, you do need to test. I hate saying that, but
that's the truth. You got it. We got it. It's we're being practical. We're being real. We're being honest. That these are methodical. These are the things that any production, any production processes we're going to require that kind of testing, and it's on us. It's incumbent upon us to share that with the audience so that
yeah, well, we give you the tools, whether it's a pre-treat or whether it's a machine, but you have to do a little bit of the work too to get there.
Yeah.
the
There
tools in the
is,
toolbox.
yeah, and I know that can be very frustrating. And a lot of people get enamored and they sort of forget the pre-treating side and just see the magic printing side. Even though they've been told it, they still forget because this is sexy and pre-treating is not so sexy. But you know, that's the truth and the reality. And that's what we like to do at trade shows, is educate people. And why we're doing the webinar. You know, this isn't the magic bullet that's going to fix everything, but it does do an incredible job. I mean, the whites that we were getting on even like this athletic gray, this was I forget what this is, a Hanes tagless. We did some on a Gildan 2000. We were getting solid whites where you would normally have to put a lot more pre-treat down. We were getting solid whites with less pre-treat. And even my guy Dean here was like, holy crap, what did you do? You know, it just looked that good. And, you know, that's what we're trying to do, is make it better and easier for everybody that's in direct to garment, so you can be more successful and focus, try to forget more about pre-treating and focus on more on selling and printing, actually working on the business and hopefully having people doing the printing and pre-treating so you can grow your business, because that's what you're in it for, is to make money, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Wise word.
If not, that's fine too. It's a very expensive hobby.
Well, for some people, they appreciate that and they're creatives and they just enjoy doing the craft part of the work, and they're not really up for the sales and marketing. But I've got two follow-up questions for you, Brian.
Sure.
One came from a chat. I want to make sure that everybody knows, are there any limitations to using platinum on the variety of machines that are out there, Brother and Epson or others?
No, it'll work in pretty much any pre-treatment machine. I'm not going to do that as a cover-all, but it's basically just like our Ultra that is universal for machine usage. It's the same with this.
Yeah, so perfect. So we know that, you know, obviously we don't really want to mention everybody else's because we're 100% biased. We believe that we have the best pre-treater on the planet, but I just want to be clear that it does work in everybody else's system, and it isn't going to impact whether you have a Brother printer or an Epson printer or some of that. That's really irrelevant, right? The printer itself doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, and it can be used with Brother, Epson, any of the other printers that are on the market. It pretty much outside of Kornit, it'll work and do an incredible job.
Okay, perfect. Well said.
You know, and let me make a real quick point too, for anybody that's watching this, that's new to this part of the industry. Brian is referencing some garments that in the past have been not ideal for DTG printing. There are certain garments that they're perfect for this process. You don't have to do any, you don't have to adjust your whites, or you just use the standard settings. Brian's referencing a lot of garments that in the past we tried to avoid because we couldn't get that ideal print. So I just wanted to make that point.
Great.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, for an educational thing, just real quick for your your viewers or whoever's watching this at this point in time, is you can print on any shirt. The higher the quality of the shirt, the better your print's going to be. Now, I want to make this very clear, and it's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad sort of for the manufacturers and distributors, but it's a good thing also. Is everybody wants to go for the cheaper quality shirt because it's cost, right? But the problem is a lot of times it requires more pre-treatment and more ink than a good quality shirt, which you can get away with typically less pre-treatment and less ink coverage to get the same result. And I've actually done some studies on this and sort of shown the difference between the pre-treatment amounts, just even on the pre-treatment amounts. It can add up. It can really, really add up, because if you have to apply 27 to 30 grams of pre-treat on shirt A, but 10 on this, if it's that price difference of, let's say, 30 to 45 cents, whatever it is, for the size that you're spraying. On this shirt, that's you know, from 30 grams to that's 1/3 the cost. So if it's 30 cents, you're at 10 cents versus 30 cents. That's 20 cents a shirt. If you do 1,000 shirts a month, that's $200 a month extra in your pocket. And the funny thing is that cost difference in the shirt can be offset a lot of times, because ink in this industry is typically the most expensive component when decorating the garment. So if you can get away using a little less ink, you can save and offset the cost of the shirt significantly.
Yeah.
But you know, that's why I said there's a lot of different variables, and I tell people it always floats. And that's where you have to sort of do your own research and figure out what works best in your shop.
There he goes. You got to do your own homework, do your own testing, do your own research. No, Brian, you bring up such a great point, and thank you for that illustration, because we echo you on that. We are 100% in agreement that those ink costs and those pre-treatment costs can add up, and those are variables you need to keep an eye on. And a higher quality shirt can really help you achieve a better print for those reasons. One of the things also I want to touch on before I turn it back over to Terry was you brought up discoloration. It comes up. It's not on every shirt. It's on certain colors and certain fabrics more than others. But what happens? What could you give us? You know, not too technical of an answer, but what's causing that, and is platinum helping that? That's really what we wanted to know.
Platinum is helping it. Again, it's
helping to avoid it. Helping to avoid it. Right?
It's helping to mitigate that quite a bit. Like I said, on the tri blends and stuff like that. You know, this is a black heathered. Is this black heathered? Yeah, this is a black heathered tri blend. You know, it mitigates a lot. It's not going to absolve it. And the reason why there's a lot of, that's why we've engineered our RTP from the ground up. There's a lot of chemicals used in processing that may be residual that it's interesting. If you take a look, this is why you don't do a light colored shirt with any of the white ink pre-treatments on the market and then leave it out in the sun. It can and most likely will interact with the UV. Now, the interesting thing is with that, I can show you certain shirts that won't do it and certain shirts that absolutely will, using the same pre-treat. And a lot of it comes down to water, dyes, pre-processing, post-processing chemicals, processes, this, that, and da-da-da-da, and on and on and on. But the platinum does reduce that quite a bit, but it's not going to eliminate it. And that's sort of what we've been working on, is developing the pre-treatment and taking it to that next step to make that better. Because there's a lot of factors in the shirt that you can't control, that we can't control. And everybody's like, well, you know, previously, especially several years ago, and up until recently, was, well, light blue, or this shirt or that shirt, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, there's certain things you can't control. I can't make the manufacturer do the extra steps necessary to make a great shirt that won't interact at all.
Right.
They do that because it comes down to money. And when you're talking fractions of pennies on billions of shit, quick question I'm asking, and ask you guys, how many shirts are made and sold in the US for apparel decorating every year, roughly?
Oh boy, no idea.
No idea.
This is the rapid fire question. Just answer, throw a number out.
A billion?
Okay, Terry's at $1 billion. Jay?
I would say 100 million.
2 to 4 billion, roughly. It just in the US for decorating. That's a lot of shirts.
That's a lot of shirts, Terry.
It's a lot of shirts.
And so pennies matter to those manufacturers.
Fractions of pennies.
Yeah.
Fractions.
Right.
So any little process you can cut, and they're not thinking about direct to garment. Now, there are certain shirts now that are more DTG oriented and different things like that. And it comes down to, you know, smoothness of the shirt, the fibers, thread count, this, that, whatever. But, you know, that's where we're trying to help mitigate a lot of those external factors that the end users can't control. But you can only do so much. But we're actually really proud of the platinum. And that's why we named it platinum, because it's pretty rock solid. Don't ask me
Nice.
what's going to come after that. Something interstellar or something.
Well, I
don't know.
believe it will be double platinum, but
Yeah.
Double. Ooh.
that's what the recording industry does.
The marketers out there are already thinking super duper platinum. No. Before Terry, sorry, I've got two people that have asked really great questions that kind of dovetail into this. So I can see the shelf life of image armor. Brian, is that a week, a day, a year? Is there some?
That is a very good question. I just was working on a seminar type thing. I always joke that pre-treatment is like fish. It's always better fresh. So if you go from your pre-treat machine right to the printer, that's always optimal. You can I have literally yet to find a shelf life for our pre-treatments. If it is applied correctly, heat set correctly, do not air dry it. We don't recommend air drying any of the pre-treatments really, especially ours, because it needs the heat to activate the magic that makes everything happen. And you store it in a client, in a box, and you're not taking the shirt and doing this to it and handling and ripping this nice surface that you tried to lay down and getting fibers to stick up and rubbing the shirt and stuff like that. Literally, you could easily, I've got shirts back here that are 6+ years old and still are DTG printable. Now, you want to make sure you remove the moisture prior to printing completely. And that's pretty much with any pre-treatment. But yeah, I have yet to find a shelf life, which is why the process and the chemical variations that we use for our RTP, it's pretty much the same thing. We have yet to find a shelf life.
So the other question, that's really good. The other question, Terry, was, and there are two versions of this one, and I've always wondered this too. So I'm grateful for the chat that just came in, because I forgot about this question, quite honestly. Can the pre-treatment could it ever be created in a clear solution? Or if it was a clear solution, would that end sometimes that visible box from the spray? Or is that not possible?
No, technically, if you really want to get down to it, a lot of it still depends on the interaction of the components of the pre-treat and the residual chemicals, the chemicals and the dyes in the shirt. A lot of times you're not going to get rid of that. And a lot of the components that go in, we haven't found anything clear yet. And the stuff that we have seen, that we've played with, it really hasn't reduced that. It's sort of like laying a layer on top of a layer type thing. It could be translucent or transparent, but you're still going to get we get into a lot of like really physical stuff with that. Think of a prism, light bounces in and bounces back through. You're putting sort of a film or a coating on the fibers, and that's also going to react with how light is reflected and different things like that. Now you throw in all the other chemicals and the dyes and all that stuff, it lends to that. So that's a good question.
So the easy answer is no, it's not clear, and at this point it probably won't be.
No, and
nor would it probably have any impact, I would think.
Well, I think they're looking at it, Terry, they would like to avoid that box.
Visible.
And the description of the box it's two different things, and I think people confuse it. Part of it is, hey, it's just the edge of my heat press. The other part is I have a stiff rectangle on the shirt, and often that's just too much pre-treat. Wouldn't you agree, Brian?
Absolutely. If it is on a good quality shirt, if it's stiff, typically, way too much pre-treat. And the nice thing with this is, versus a lot of our older pre-treats, if you applied the same amount of the platinum with, say, the ultra or the dark or whatever, you would notice a very tangible difference in the tactile feel of that pre-treated area. So it is a lot, and being able to use less even makes that less noticeable. So you really don't feel, but you are correct. Sort of dealing with two different things. A lot of times you can see a visible area where the pre-treat is. That comes down to the interactions of the chemicals and dyes. You've got the box of where you heat press. And like I mentioned earlier, I've seen it on red shirts, especially like the tri-blends. You can have a plain shirt that you just heat press, and that heated area is going to be a different color than the unheated area of the shirt because of the reaction of the dyes and how they change. So
that's a warning to any new decorators when you panic when you see that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and you can, there's, like I said, there's a lot of things you can do. These shirts here haven't been washed, and there's nothing. I mean, you can't see anything, and this isn't exactly the highest quality shirt. So, you can feel a little bit, and it's funny, the stiffer the shirt or the rougher the cotton that's used, lower the thread count, that is going to exacerbate the hand and feeling of the pre-treated area, just typically because it does require more pre-treat than a really high quality shirt.
Got it. Last question before I turn it back to Terry, because these are so good. I failed to mention this, and if you said it, forgive me. Can I use platinum on both white and light shirts and dark shirts?
The answer to that question is no. Again, like I sort of mentioned earlier, any of the white ink pre-treatments are going to have typically some kind of UV interaction. On a white shirt, that is, you'll definitely notice it and see it unless you wash it prior to wearing out in the sun. Even fluorescent lights can cause a UV interaction over time and exposure, and that's a lot longer than direct sunlight. However, that's why we have the light shirt formula for that. Now, the interesting thing, Jay, is you can take and use this on, say, a white polyester, and you won't have that issue.
Okay.
But on a white cotton shirt, you will.
Well,
so
Image Armor Light is an awesome product, and it works perfectly in this scenario. So
yeah, but that, that's why that's designed for mainly CMYK printing on, even light colored shirts. If you're just doing a black or whatever, print on a light yellow. But yeah, it is not a universal pre-treat, and I have yet to find a universal pre-treat that actually ticks off all the boxes. And that's why I said there's no magic bullets out there in the industry.
Well, hopefully we haven't disappointed too many people by that.
I know. I try to manage expectations, to be honest with you.
Exactly right.
I don't like blowing smoke. It's like, look, I'll answer it, and it is what it is. But it's
it was a great question. Thank you, Greg, by the way. And I meant to ask it earlier. I just want to make sure, like you said, Brian, it's really about expectations. It's not a wrong answer to say no. It's not perfectly well suited for both white and light shirts as well as dark shirts.
But if you're printing white ink on a light colored shirt, like this yellow, this is a real light yellow. Yeah, absolutely. Because I printed white, and that white is like, it looks like screen print. That's why I was like, when we were doing a lot of our testing, my guys were like, holy crap, how much pre-treat did you use? And I'm like, on a lot less than what we were before. And they were like, wow, that's nice. So when you guys do your testing, just take that into account.
Perfect. It has begun, and our techs love the product. So I'll tell you that.
Awesome.
Well, hey, let's kind of wrap things up a little bit here, Brian, let's talk about compliance and safety. That issue always comes up when people start talking about, can I print on children's apparel, that sort of thing. So talk to us about Image Armor's approvals via Okie Tech, Okie Tech's California
Okie
Prop 65, CPSIA. Talk to us about compliance and safety.
All the fun stuff. Yes, all of the Image Armor products are Prop 65 CPSIA, which is the California Product Safety Institute Association certification, blah, blah, blah. So to make sure that there's no lead, mercury, make your child grow 3 heads type problems in the product. All of our previous products are OEKO-TEX certified and fit all those. This is in the process of being certified and knowing the back end and what we did and engineered. It's golden on all those also. And we'll have all that if it's not already done. And Jerry's not in today, so I wasn't able to check on that. Yeah, it's safe for like the kids and all that stuff. So it's the OEKO-TEX Eco Passport, again, which is sort of like the industry standard, I guess you could say, for this type of a product that, again, lead, mercury, all the other names of chemicals I can't pronounce correctly without sounding like an, type thing. But yes,
when it's applied, Brian, and the heat press comes down and some of the steam is released, there's no issue with that, right? There's no converting it from a solid into a gas. It's not gonna, I'm not gonna, now unless it's gonna help me grow my hair back, then I'm interested in this. Otherwise I'm not.
Yeah, you'd look like, the old man on the mountain if that happened with beard. Typically, it's one of those things, it's like the same thing you get with the dye burn off with screen printing. If you've ever been in a screen printing shop and seen, shirts go through and you have that smoke coming out of the smoke stack or the funnel,
Dryer.
the dryer funnel. You don't want to, obviously you want well ventilation. You don't want to be cooped up in a room with it. It's the same type of stuff with that. Most of what you get when you heat press this is you probably are going to get a little bit of dye burn off from the shirt, which obviously we can't control. But most of the other is just water vapor. The carrier is a technical term, which I love this. Somebody replied one time on our Image Armor products and talked about the solvents that we used. And people don't realize that water is a solvent.
There you go.
So that's that's the main carrier that is going to burn off. But you don't want to be in a confined space and have it build up and stuff. So, and I don't recommend inhaling, standing there like a nebulizer and breathing it in. Don't do that. But make sure you have good airflow and air exchange wherever you're doing it. That's
which you would recommend in any scenario anyway.
Sure.
Anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, we want to make sure that it's safe. We want to make sure that people aren't just, trying to put their heads down in front and nebulize and breathe that stuff.
And that's why we did, do all the Prop 65 CPSIA, the OEKO-TEX certification. It goes through all that to make sure that there isn't anything massively harmful in there. And it's like anything. If you drink too much water, a lot of people don't realize this, you can die from water poisoning.
Whoa. I don't know that. That's new to me.
That's a true fact.
You flush everything out of your body, so it's just one of those things. Too much of anything is not a good thing.
Well,
especially pre-treat people.
Yeah.
Too much of anything. I don't know if that applies to tacos, but I hear you.
I think there's a country song about that.
I think you're saying that to have it, all things in moderation, as they say, is the okay. Yeah. Well, we're rounding third. We're kind of heading home, Brian. Before we go, I'm going to drop this link, special link for those of you that are tuned in live right now, so you can see this. This is an offer. Maybe you could talk about this offer to go to your website and secure themselves a free sample of Image Armor Platinum, the new formula. I just dropped that in. They can go to imagearmorpt.com. And what should they know about that?
Basically, all they have to do is go to that link, click on it, fill out the form, and we will send out free of charge a quart sample of the Image Armor Platinum, and typically also the light shirt formula, so they can get and try. Listen to me, proper English, Brian. So they can get a quart sample of each to try, because we believe in the product that much that we will send the product and pay for the shipping so that you can try it out for free. Basically, throw it in your equipment, just flush out your pre-treat machine really well, fill it up, spray some shirts, see how it works. And then from there, they can go to your website at the Equipment Zone. Is it shop.equipmentzone?
Well, yeah, just visit it is available on our Shopify store, our e-commerce side. So you can just go to supplies and they'll find it right there.
Yep. So we do this on our end so that it makes it, everybody always wants to try something. And this is our way of this is how confident we are. We'll give you the free sample because we know it works, and it works incredibly well, which is why we do it, and we're just trying to make it easier for everybody. And I know we're going into busy season with Christmas coming up and everything year end. So this is a really good time. If you haven't had a chance to try the pre-treatment, go sign up, get your free sample, and hopefully maybe you can switch over and support Equipment Zone because they carry this. You guys have it in stock pretty much all the time that I've seen.
Yep,
and
exactly.
It's shipped pretty much same day, right?
Yeah, anything that any order we get before 3 o'clock Eastern time ships out the same day.
Awesome.
All right. So to wrap up, Brian, the 1, 2, 3, if there are 3 bullet points in tight summary, can you give us the summarized version of the reason Platinum Formula is the winner is?
You can use less of it. It has a softer hand, and you'll be surprised at the results you can get on those problematic colors. Just because of all 3 of these combined together generates a much better product for the direct-to-garment printing surface. And again, pre-treating is the most important aspect outside of artwork, good artwork creation, and knowing how to rip it and print it correctly. It's the foundation that everything else is built on. It literally is the foundation of the house because you're putting the ink and everything on top of that on the shirt. And without that good base, you're not going to get a good print.
Well
Period.
said. Well said. Anything to add to that, Terry?
Well, I was just going to say, Brian, you're just repeating what we preach regularly, but it's great to have somebody outside of Equipment Zone come in and say exactly the same thing. We appreciate it, my friend.
We do indeed. Yes, we need that confirmation. And I'm going to share my screen with a couple of more slides before we get out of here. We want to make sure everybody who's still and by the way, thank you to the, I mean, we had a lot of people here today and it was fun to have so many of you register. And for those of you that attended live, we're grateful for your time and hope that we shared something that will help you build your business. That's really what Equipment Zone wants to be known for. Yes, we sell printers. Yes, we sell ink. Yes, we sell image armor and now the Platinum solution. But what we really are guaranteed to give you is as much help as we can, as we know. So we're a click away, as we say. So you can go visit our website. And even if you did not purchase your Epson F2100 or Epson F3070 from us, we're still here to help. So let's get to it. Go visit our website, click on that tech support button, and we'll be happy to answer questions as we can, when we can. And also, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, I know Brian has. So definitely do that now. We are proud of that. We have over 100 videos specifically to DTG, DTF, pre-treatment, all of these topics, and we're constantly adding to them because the market moves. There are new solutions created. There are new opportunities that are abound. So it's an opportunity for you to find some more training there. 9 times out of 10, it is not a straight up sales pitch. Yes, we might weave a little something in there, but for the most part, we're trying to educate the marketplace and make sure that apparel decorators have a home to go to get really the straight story as best as we can tell it, even with our biases, right? Terry, is that fair to say?
Exactly right, because our focus, Jay, you and myself, even outside of DTG, has always been education in the industry, and education helps all of us grow. So that's our focus here at Equipment Zone.
That sure is. So let's end it there, Terry. And if people want to get in touch with you, Terry, what's the best way for them to do that?
That would be, you could call Equipment Zone at 201-797-1504, or you can email Terry, Terry, at equipmentzone.com.
Love it. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, Mr. Walker, what's the best way for them to hit you up, as the kids say?
Basically, you can either do the info@imagearmorpt.com or sales@imagearmorpt.com. And I see them. We have a whole team here that checks that. And we do a lot of like what you guys do, just try and educate customers in that process of direct-to-garment printing. And that's why we do the webinars, and we appreciate the time that you guys offered today to us to talk about not just this, but pre-treating in general, because again, it's the most important aspect and process in direct-to-garment. Without it, you are not going to get a good shirt, period.
Well, that's it. We'll wrap it up there. It's been a full hour filled with great insights, good perspectives, bits of training here and there. So Brian, seriously, thank you so much for your time today. Terry as well. Until we meet again, everybody be safe. Please visit us if you're going to be in Las Vegas for the Printing United show. Both Brian and our companies will be there. We're not exhibiting together. We're there. We'd be happy and thrilled if you come by and say hi and see all of our new solutions. So otherwise, we'll say goodbye for now. Thanks again.
Thanks, Brian. See you there,
guys. Thank you.